Trading Addicts, what's up? This is Jeff Kohler, aka Option Addict, from over at www.tradingaddicts.com. It's weekly watch list time. So we got the rally that we were looking for over the last week, week plus, and S&Ps have run a considerable distance here. According to the McClellan, we haven't quite stretched into overbought territory, so I think anything's fair game here. I will mention, though, that aside from being stretched here, the most exciting thing about this is that volatility has absolutely gotten crushed. And so with the VIX back down beneath 20, we're back into swing trading conditions that are naturally much easier than they have been through the course of that correction. What I'm looking at right now, which I don't think is going to give us much of a read at the moment, at this very second, but copper. Copper prices, as of Friday, posting an inside day. And right now, as copper's opened up here, we haven't really seen a whole lot of movement away from that yet. But I'm using that to give me the next directional movement. Throughout the course of this rally, copper's been about, a couple of days ahead of equities in regards to its movement. So it's been very, very easy in trying to plan for some of these rallies. We've been able to do so a couple of days in advance on multiple occasions here. So what I'm looking for is a break away from that. And if it's back to the upside, which I think that it will be, then we'll just look to continue to get long equities ahead of that. Things are opening up pretty flat right now. Like I said, copper hasn't really moved a whole lot. So next directional movement out of copper, I think, will be telling at least what the next big, decent sized move in equities is going to be. So that's what I'm watching. What I will do is I'll give you a couple of price pattern setups that I've gone through that I think are tradable either way here. And I'll start off with a couple of my favorites. Number one is this SWFT, which I've been watching here for quite a little while. Has been sitting here coiling up and looks about ready to pop. And based on the width of this setup here, looks good for at least about a $2 move. And so I'm thinking this week, set some alerts up around 15. But once that thing triggers, I think you want to look to get long and hold this for a little while. If you take a look at AGRO, it's doing the exact same thing. It's coiled up here real nice and tight. So all I'm doing is just kind of sitting back and waiting for pops away from these, which should bring forth a little bit of volatility, some buying, and we should see some decent sized moves. A couple others here. Watching IDT. IDT is pretty coiled up here as well. Volume started to perk up a little bit here on Thursday and Friday. It hasn't gotten outside of this range, but I'm thinking with prices as contracted as they have been, I think it will. So want to keep an eye out for that. A couple others that I've been watching. Polycom, looking for a breakout there still. Not your most exciting stock here, but Mattel, is also in a nice little range here where we could see a nice little breakout. If financials go this week, keep an eye on this BXS. I think this one, with as well as it held up, throughout that correction, I'm thinking this one might see a pretty decent sized move. Love the setup here in Baycorp South. That's probably one of my favorites. Also, I think this will be the week of the Goldman. So if this one opens up at all tomorrow, opens higher, I think you want to buy this. What we've been following here are these downward channels. And what happens is when the stock forms that higher low, that's basically the dip you want to buy ahead of the breakout. So even though the chart looks like crap, I'm actually pretty bullish on Goldman this week, looking for a breakaway from this little consolidation range. So if it opens up just a little bit, I think you want to buy the what out of Goldman. Probably target some weekly calls. Do something pretty aggressive. But financials being the laggard here, it looks like the BKX is kind of coiled up in the exact same way. And if that sets up, that's going to be a big old move. So that's one of my favorite setups here going into this week. Still watching this consolidation setup in Asia. To me, that looks ready to pop. I don't know what you think, but looks pretty good to me. Watching this KEG, which had some pretty decent option activity towards the end of the week. And then this pattern, I think, looks great. The truckers have looked awesome, and JBHT looks like it might be ready to go. Like the shippers here, not really much of a pattern, but prices have coiled up here and have popped outside of this little range, which I think might be worth buying here with as strong as that trend has been. Let's see. One of my favorite plays, if you're bullish at all on copper and copper prices start to rise, I happen to be long some FCX calls. have been for a little while. But I think you want to target this TGB, like the spot here, totally. So if copper looks to be strong here again, I think you want to buy shares of this. I like Chipotle here, the way that it's coiled up. I think you want to buy a breakout in CMG. I'll throw out a couple bearish patterns. This rig looks like a nice little head and shoulders pattern, as does Costco. Look like they're both in decent spots if you want to look to mix in some shorts. Let's see, ROVI. Love this little base that's been built, so I'd look to trade a breakout from that and trade it up to about 60-ish, 61. Also, another trade off in the financials here. This little triangle setup here in Wells Fargo, I think, looks really good. Still got my eyes on GMCR, even though I got whipped out of that SOB earlier in the week. And Allstate. I don't know if that's going to be a big mover or not, but this big consolidation pattern suggests it will be. So, but aside from that, I still got some decent looking buy the dip candidates and a lot of great small cap setups that I'm looking at this week. A lot of stocks have made considerable movement, and I thought it was going to be pretty tough to go out there and find stocks to put on my radar, but it wasn't all that bad. There are a few. I'll throw out a couple right now. I think you got to watch U.S. Steel and the steel stocks to try to catch up this week. I like technology, in particular semiconductors. So watch these little inverse head and shoulder patterns, kind of like we saw in the semiconductor index, and little breakouts away from this should see some pretty decent movement. Once they enter up into these volume pockets. So Marvell would be an example of that. And anything that's still got still down near support that's seeing some volume, like IPG. Good trending stock, down near some support and some volume coming in. That's something that looks pretty attractive to me. And like I said, financials are something I'd be targeting this week. So anyway, guys, that'll just about do it. As always, if you want to see any of these trades in action or come make a little bit of money with us, 5-day, $5 trial, give us a shot. Come hang out within the community. We'd love to have you. Anyways, this has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have a profitable week.